Philly service announcement. There we go. There we go. What's up, y'all? This is Philly service announcement. Glockaware Radio. Takeover Tuesday. Every Tuesday, 5 to 6. The resources, art, the activism. I'm your girl, right hand sister, Nick Raw Cannon. My brother Rue is in the building. He'll be joining us shortly. We have a special guest with us today. Of course, we don't never introduce our special guests. We let them introduce themselves. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let our special guest introduce herself, who she is, what resource she has, where you can find her at, any social media platforms you may be on, anywhere that you can connect in person with people in the city, about the things that you're doing or what you have, what resources you have to offer. Welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Peace and blessings. My name is Deja.
Put the mic a little closer. Yeah, there you go.
My name is Deja. I'm a local artist, and I'm a musician. I'm a painter. I'm an intuitive human, so I do readings for people, do a lot of healing work for people just to help out, and also do a lot of community work. So as far as social media, I don't use it too much, but I'm on Instagram just because we're all on there somewhere.
Yes.
My Instagram is Deja Made It. So DIJAMADEIT. And you can find me on there. And then I also give readings for donation every week on Thursdays at Lightbox Cafe downtown. That's at 704 South 4th Street. And I work with an organization called NCP CDC, so North Central Philadelphia CDC, which is how I met Jarue and how I ended up being here, because we do some community work together.
Wow, she just laid some gems on y'all. It sounds like you got a lot going on. It sounds like she has a lot going on and can be very, influential for us, for resources, for our audience, for the people who are watching. Our brother Rue just joined us.
Yes, I did.
And she mentioned reading for healing and reading for donation. I feel like we're on a healing journey right now. Like last week, I feel like we are on a healing journey. You trying to connect somewhere and get, I don't know. He on some vibe right now that I'm feeling it.
I woke up real aligned today. People can hear it in my voice. They was like, yo, why you so hyped? Like, why? I was like, I don't know, man. Like, I felt good. I stayed home last night. You know what I'm saying? Got some sleep. Woke up at a good time.
See what that do for you,
bro?
See what it do for you?
Got to work early.
Listen.
You know what I'm saying? Like everything. And I'm not driving right now. So I jumped on the bus. It was quick. One thing about SEPTA, y'all. Y'all can say a lot about SEPTA, but research SEPTA. It's the best transit system in the country.
I knew you was about to say that.
It's crazy. No, that's crazy though. Listen, I understand what you're saying, but I've been to other places where it's like they don't have all the connecting places. I've been to New York. Is horrible. It's bigger, but it's even more dirtier. It's more stuff going on. It's like they subway system seem like it's a whole town in and of itself.
Not to put some
and I'm not from New York,
this.
but the few times I've been there, it's been like that. And for me, the thing with SEPTA, I'm gonna let you go because we ain't gonna go too far in the SEPTA, but I'm gonna let you go. But the thing about SEPTA is they be on time now. I remember being a young boy and it'd be like you missed the bus or the bus came when it wanted to come. Now, ever since I've been home and the times that I had to be on SEPTA, if nothing else, they be on time. I be on my phone like, yo, okay, they be right there every time. Like I look on my phone. Be like, that John coming in 2 minutes. I walk up to the John. Oh, that John right at the top of the block. It is coming in 2 minutes. But go ahead. What you was about to say about that?
What I was about to say was, while they do say that it's the best transit system in the country, that just has to do with, like you said, the connectivity. So we have availability of transit pretty much everywhere in the city, and that's not common in the United States of America. But we also have one of the most out-of-date transit systems in the U.S. It's actually 10 years out of date, and they just started to update it in the past 2 years. They've taken their time with it. There's a lot of things that are out of date in a way that is actually harmful to the people that's riding this machinery, especially when it comes to the buses and trains. And they purposefully only make the routes that are like aligned with Broad Street and the most trafficked areas come. on time.
Right.
Because people still waiting for the R for like an hour and missing work and jobs. You know, I've heard a lot of people losing jobs because of SEPTA.
This is the reason why I love this show, because I done looked it up. I done had people come from other places, but I do understand what you're saying. It's a lot of things, like, because I was riding SEPTA during the pandemic, and I was actually riding from West Oak Lane to Chester. And this was easy, like an hour and 40, no matter express trains, no nothing. It don't matter. It's going to take you an hour. And I got a couple 120s, but that was just a Sunday. It's nothing on, you know, I think I was taking like the 107 or something like that. I think it's like the 107. It rides on Baltimore Pike. It rides on Baltimore Pike, whatever that bus is. I can't think, the 109. So on like a Sunday, it's nobody out there that is like that. But I know what you're saying as far as, for me, the cleanliness of these places, like, it's crazy. It's like, it's bananas. Like, you being on 69th Street is bananas. Like, we need to not do something, but we need to find a healthy remedy for homelessness. Cause I like, that was the thing that was the overstimulation for me, being on a joint, like, yo, being on the L, 69th Street, like being on Market Street at the time, 30th Street. It's like, yo, this is crazy. And there's things that can be done to remedy this healthily for those people. Because I'm not blaming the people who are out there, because that's normally the conversation. It's like, oh, all these drug addicts, all of these mentally ill folks, just all these homeless folks, panhandlers, whatever the case may be. It's things that's going on that's creating that in our world, and that's a whole nother conversation outside of SEPTA.
Let's be all the way honest. You know, SEPTA in itself is, you know, it has a responsibility as, you know, the transportation provider to ensure the safety of the people who take their transportation, as well as the people, you know, surrounding it, you know, like the stations and the big stations, like you mentioned 69th Street, Alney Terminal, you know, where there's
be
a lot
mindful,
of,
you know, where these areas are, and you know what the demographics are, like, you know why the situation is what it is.
Exactly, but they are also dealing with what we all are dealing with, which is a lot of systems that are perpetuating things that we need to get under control, like homelessness.
I think it's actually ironic that we're bringing up homelessness with SEPTA, because I didn't want to get too political on here. That was not my intention.
No,
today.
yes,
Yeah.
whatever.
SEPTA has actually made a lot of changes in the past 3 years in particular, like right before the pandemic, that have been very detrimental to the survival of the homeless population in Philadelphia. And it seems very intentional, because they blocking off, putting gates up, places where people used to be able to safely sleep at night. You know what I mean? They are kicking people off the trains and the platforms and the in-between spaces with the Market Frankfurt line and with the subway. And I've seen them, you know, I've seen people taking tickets and money to get on a train, actually rejecting people that they know to be homeless from getting on the train multiple times.
I've seen that.
So that's all really blatant, and that's causing people's death, especially when we was back in, you know, the wintertime. And I don't feel like people talking about it enough, but we see what's happening, and that's just not okay.
Right. And it's a lot of issues dealing with that. You know what I'm saying? What we have to understand is, this is not a one way to address this problem. You see what I'm saying? On one hand, they doing all these things that are being a detriment to the homeless society, and, you know, stopping them from accessing places that, you know, they sleep at night, but they shouldn't be sleeping there at night. There should be ways that we as a city, we should be able to provide more places for the homeless population to sleep. Unfortunately, you know, it's not something that we have and that's accessible.
We actually have quite a few shelters in Philadelphia. They're
Quite
just
a few, but not
underfunded.
it's underfunded. It's not enough. I mean, I'm not taking away from what we are doing as a city, but it's just more that needs to be done.
And it's like food insecurity. That's something that should be impossible. the amount of food that's produced
Exactly.
in America, that's produced in America, being imported into America, amount of food waste that you have, that if you situated it properly, you can make sure people eat. Like it's an overabundance of food.
Exactly,
actually.
but where's the access?
And it's again, it's those systems, it's the red tape. It's kind of like one of the things about SEPTA, and I know you can go and look it up if you pay attention to the patterns of the things that they're doing. They're corralling people to certain areas. When they lock certain places up and they want certain areas to be clean, and it's tourism, or the people who live around this area make a certain amount of money, they use SEPTA to do that as well, because they know people can only sleep really where you allow them to sleep.
Exactly.
Because you're not going to you're not, like you said, you're not making more shelters available. And then the other thing is, you're not really checking in on these shelters again in a healthy way to make sure that they're places that are welcoming. You can do mass environments like that and make it welcoming, make it healthy, make it safe, comfortable, where a person could, you hear people talk about shelters and it's like, oh no, I can't do the shelter for a variety of reasons.
You know what I mean? It's degrading. They're not equipped to deal with the issues that the homeless population is facing, like drug addiction, mental health. Like when you think homelessness, you have to look at all of these different things and say, how can we really truly treat that problem? It's housing, yes, but you have to be able to provide housing along with the service, and you have to be able to provide a housing that doesn't degrade people. Like,
If we're being realistic and logical, we have the housing.
Yes.
PHA has the housing.
Yes.
Many organizations have the housing. We have the resources. We have the food. It's really that the city of Philadelphia doesn't want to put the funding towards it. And the plans that they make, honestly, are more for publicity and attention than actually doing anything about the problems.
political.
So,
Exactly.
one of the thing I've been telling people about Philly is, first of all, Philadelphia is not a place for like families. It's not a place for raising families. It's not being engineered in that way. It's tourism. It's social areas. It's recreational areas. They're not being geared towards families. Like people, like that's one of the things we really need to understand about the capitalism of the city. Everybody is making money. We see houses and stuff being erected in 3 weeks, it feels like. You know what I'm saying? All over the city. But those houses are being directed to a certain type of occupant. Young professionals, college, and when I say college informed or college influenced, we talking about professors, we talking about kids that are graduate students, kids coming in from other cities to live in the city, artists that's coming into the city who are different type of artists. You would know what I'm talking about.
But it's not even just like college students and artists. Like it's unfortunate, but it's a very realistic fact that our city is marketing us internationally. You know what I mean? Not just in the U.S. They're marketing us internationally, and it's been happening
as a destination
before the past 5 years. We're on the National Historic Registry or something like that. I forget what it's called, but they've been pouring a lot of money and resources into building more hotels, building more apartment complexes, bringing certain industries in so that they can bring professionals in from other states, and they're not marketing these things to people who live here.
Exactly.
A lot of people who live in Philadelphia don't understand why there's so many Koreans walking around downtown right now. Like, not to single anybody out, but just on some real shit.
Right.
It's just they're blocking information from getting to the people who have historically lived here.
It's funny that, like, it's funny to me because of how I look at stuff based on the time that I spent in prison. Like how culture is like drastically different from when I got locked up in 98 to when I came home in 2018. Like how, like you said, a lot of people don't understand that, like, places get marketed. Like the way a college would get marketed.
Yes.
Cities get marketed. Cities have marketing firms that work for them to promote the city in a certain way, to bring a certain type of people into the city to make the city thrive in the way that they see it.
Right.
What is the most benefit we can get from this land mass with this amount of people? Because it's the 5th largest media market, I think, still in this country. So that means this place in and of itself gets a lot of publicity. The way I learned about that is through sports. You want to have your sports in places where there's a lot of media. Whereas a lot of outlets to tell the story about different players in the organization, because that means more revenue is coming in, because these stories make you big.
Exactly.
Like they let
Make
you
money.
know who it is, right? So it's like when you hear about players, their agent is telling them you don't want to be in Oklahoma because that's a small media market. If you go here, like you go to Philly or you go to Miami or you go to Atlanta, it's a bigger media market, so you can make more money outside of basketball. So what that is doing is it's promoting this city in a certain way to bring in what? A young professional. A basketball player or a football player is a young professional.
Right.
You feel what I'm
And
saying?
Philadelphia
And there are
is-
other types of young professionals, you know?
Philadelphia has always been a place for industry. Like, you know, we don't have the factories anymore, but we still have a whole lot of stuff going on. A lot of people don't even realize. It's so many musicians that come here to record an album because it's quiet, but it has all the resources that they need. Like, Kehlani blew up because of the city. She not from here, but she recorded Sweet Sexy Savage, like, right around the corner from where we at right now. Like, so a lot of people don't, you know, pay attention to the fact that there's music, there's entertainment, like you're saying, of all kinds.
Yeah.
There's resources for, you know, the technology industry. There's like all kind of stuff going on here.
Some of the bigger colleges for different things. Like if you talk about Penn is world renowned. If you talk about Drexel is world renowned. If you talk about Temple is world renowned. These are big institutions, not just schools, but institutions
as a whole,
that they
yes.
want to bring in a certain type of people, and it's certain, you know what I mean? Because they want the schools to be known for certain things. They are. It's a place. Again, it just always goes back to capitalism. How can we make the most money off of a thing? You know what I mean? It don't matter what the thing is, but how can we make the most money off of it? Schools
Exactly.
are ran like that. Cities are ran like that. It's a certain amount of people. But the funny thing that I was going to say was, I remember in the 90s, it was this big thing about urban sprawl. Like how all the white folks didn't want to live, all the professionals and affluent white folks, they didn't want to live in the city no more. So they was going out for like 10 years. That's all I kept reading about in the daily news. Urban sprawl, or this amount of people, because you know when those people leave, their tax dollars leave. And they don't want that. That money that's coming into the city, like LeBron James leaving Cleveland, it messed with their economics because he was the tourist attraction. So they
Exactly.
built all of the hotels and all of this type
All of
of
that.
industry around the sports complex because everybody wanted to see LeBron James. So when they was burning LeBron James jersey, they wasn't burning it because they was mad LeBron James himself, the black man, actually left. No. LeBron James took millions of billions of dollars
The
out of
economy.
Cleveland and took jobs because restaurants weren't viable no more, because why would we come here and there's nothing to see? It's just Cleveland and this is a restaurant.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So now when LeBron leaves, that affects your bottom line.
Exactly.
So that puts you out of business, put jobs out of, you know what I'm saying? So that's what those folks, it wasn't about sports. You know what I'm saying? When they was burning his jersey.
yeah.
So, right. So that was the big thing about Philadelphia about 10 to 15 years ago, urban sprawl. But now they pushing all of us out to wherever, because when people get moved out because of gentrification, this is another part of the housing crisis, homelessness.
Yes.
Where do these people go? Nobody's asking that question. When you clear out this whole block, where are those families that used to be on that block going? Where have they gone? Where did you move them to? And then you got all of the white folks that was in the county, because that's really what it is, that was in the county coming back to the city, and you pushing us to the county, but the county don't look like it looked when they was out
sure
there.
don't.
It's not even the county though. They got people moving in here from out of state. That's what's really going on. Most of the people that's coming into Philly right now, they not from Pennsylvania.
No, but I'm just saying from the standpoint, I know what you're talking about, but I'm just saying from the standpoint of the
families
the
that
debate,
were-
right?
yeah.
The debate, well, not the debate, but the issue of the day for Philadelphia in this area was all of the resources, the professionals moving out of the city at one time. And you
Yeah.
know, they was trying to blame the crime and all that. They was trying to say it was y'all, this, that, and the third. But now everybody's clamoring back into the city, and they pushing all of these people out to these like deserts basically now, because they took the tax money. And one thing I gotta say about the suburbs before we move into really getting into this system right here is the suburbs were created. Again, we got to understand systems. A lot of these suburbs across the country, these railways and all of these highways and all of this stuff was created because white folks wanted to move out of the city, and they all didn't get it from the bootstraps. It was grants. It was monies given to them to allow them to move. Look it up. Research it. So don't get into this whole thing of they want to go somewhere where it's safe. They want to do. No, they create systems that allow them to be able to change things and make them how they want to make it. That's why I try to say to our people as much as possible, we need to get on the system thinking level. When we talking about justice and we talking about, revolution, whatever you talking about,
It's
changing the
definitely the
system,
systems that need to
you
work.
need to understand how to create those strategies and those systems. It's not at this base level no more. It's mind games being played that'll make you think that you doing it to yourself. When really
Right.
it's a
Like
system at play and that been going on before you even was born.
Absolutely.
So we need to start thinking more like, how do we create our own systems to defend ourselves? We can't be on offense yet. We still haven't put a foundation together. Anybody that's fighting for anything, you can see these things are not changing. They're not changing. You know what I'm saying? You seeing some people, is a funny thing about numbers too, about the amount of people that are on the planet. Everything is more. So we might see people doing some amazing things and be like, yo, but those people have come and started doing amazing things, but it's more people that's messed up too now.
Yes, it
Because it's just
is.
more people. So now you got
Yes, it
more
is.
people that's actually doing these, art, technology, engineer. It's more of them because
a
it's just
lot.
more people on the planet. But then don't get caught in just that growth. The people that's doing terribly bad because of the system have gotten more too.
That population has grown.
You know what I'm saying?
tremendously.
So,
and it's going to continue to grow.
It's also really on point, like spiritually is on point that you say that we need to focus on building foundations, because right now there's a lot going on to cause distraction, and we can't be getting distracted by all this chaos outside, because I think a lot of us are on the same accord energetically about the fact that we need to be pouring into these foundations that we need to build, not just for ourselves but for each other, so that we gonna have something to build upon, because there's a lot of things coming at us right now, and it's more to come.
and a very great elder, Mama Gail, like she says this a lot, like we're more powerful than we've ever been.
Ashe.
And the reason why that touches a chord with me, because when you look at our subjugation, as folks, as black folk, people of African descent, indigenous people, we were given all of the blueprint in order to serve. Think about that. You was given the whole blueprint in order for you to serve. So if you just think about it, you got all the tools to do it yourself, because it was given to you by the person that the person who oppressed you.
Exactly.
They had to give it to you. They figured
had
it.
to.
They said we can't keep physically, we already did enough to put that fear into them. So now we got to play psychological games so they'll just want to do it. Because as long as the threat is clear and present, we're going to keep raising up and wanting to fight. We're going to keep burning down the barn. We're going to keep doing Nat Turners. We're going to keep doing Gabrielle Prosser's and all that. We're going to keep going at the system because we can see clear and presently that it's against us. So they said, nah, we got to figure out this psychological game to make them think that they can share in this. That we've gone to this point where it's like, okay, y'all, we went through all we went through, but now we can all work to maintain it because they needed you to work for them and they couldn't keep fighting you. They couldn't keep doing that.
The fact of the matter is that we have all the keys. Like, we can't get jaded no more. We got to heal the trauma because we have all the keys to do what we need to do. Like you just said, they couldn't do what was done to us, to our people, without literally, making everything very transparent. Might not have made it obvious, but they made it transparent. And we have enough knowledge collectively to put all those pieces together.
Yes, collectively.
Right.
Collaboration.
That's the thing, collectively.
So,
and the
my
healing
fault,
of the trauma, really quick, the healing of the trauma part, that's where we have to work to get each other to understand that's where we need to start, because a lot of people don't even see that part. And we're trying, in order for us to come together and collaborate, it has to start here, right? And sometimes people are not ready. For a lot of different reasons,
And that
right?
has to be respected.
Exactly.
We can't
And you
force nobody.
you can't force it. But what you can do is align them with the resources for when they are ready. You know what I mean? Connect them with different people, outlets that open their eyes. You know what I'm saying? For them to see, because sometimes it takes a lot. Some people are really maybe in that capitalistic mind frame, as in, no, this is, I gotta get money to get up out of here. You know what I mean? I gotta get money. I gotta find ways to make money in order to better my life. And who didn't think that at one point? Right?
And that's the
who
part.
didn't think that? We all thought the best way to get out of the hood is to get money.
So you can't judge nobody for where they at.
Yeah, you can't. But it wasn't until you realized when you left the hood, like, I'm still hood. Like, the money didn't change nothing.
So I'm still dealing with a whole bunch of the same issues.
I'm still a young black woman in America. Like, exactly. I got a little bit more money now, but you know, they say more money, more problems. But it's healing that trauma. I'm glad you said that. It's a very good point. And people, and I said this a long time ago when I came in that day aligned. You know what I mean? Everybody is not on the same level at the same time. Just because you processed your trauma and you got here, it doesn't mean that the person that ain't get there yet is to be judged. Because they're going to travel, things are going to come to them that are going to get them to the point where as though they're going to address their trauma, heal their trauma, become a better member of society, do what they need to do to give back, whatever it is that's going to drive them, it's going to happen. And it ain't going to be on your time. It's going to be on theirs.
It's going to be on their own timeline.
We got to respect individualism, you know, and just be more understanding of people being in a certain space in their time. Like, being aligned with you and you feeling your space in the universe is just space in the universe in that given moment in time. That person is where they are in the universe at that given moment in time for a reason.
Yes.
And when that happens, when they start to take those steps, just be there.
And be proud of them.
Just be present. We need to be present. I feel like we as a people are not present enough to be within ourselves.
That's
and
the distraction
to
she was talking about too.
Exactly. Be present. We just need to be present more. That's it.
But also just like on top of respecting people's timelines and holding that space, I think we also really need to get out of this mindset of debating with people or trying to tell people about themselves, because at the end of the day, share your knowledge, plant the seed, but respect where people are and don't expect them to like jump when you say go, because it ain't gonna happen.
It ain't gonna happen.
People only gonna do what they can do for themselves when they can acknowledge what's going on.
Exactly.
And they have to do that for themselves, and you can't rob them of that experience. And you can't speed it up.
Exactly. Remember, planting the seed also means letting it grow. You can't plant the seed and just stand over the seed and be like, yo, flower, when you gonna come up? Yo, tree, when you gonna come up? You should be by here by now. Seed.
Because we got what I'm saying. We got
our own.
Plant the seed and let it grow. Don't force it. Don't try to force it. It's not gonna happen. And then when you do try to force it, you change the trajectory of the natural growth. Just let it go.
You causing more trauma.
Messing with your own energy. You messing with your own energy because you need to be focusing on your own
stuff.
Watering your own seeds.
You all over here.
You can share your seeds. You can share your seeds with people, but you can't be watering their seeds. Your shit gonna die.
Don't get me
started. Your plants gonna die.
Seriously, listen.
Dan, I gotta take a deep breath real quick.
No, but
I always want to ask this question just to hear what you think it is. What is your resource? Like, what is the resource you think you provide, or you do provide?
That's difficult to answer, because I feel like I provide a lot of different resources, but I would say that the main one is I'm motivational. You know what I mean? I want everybody to be where they need to be for themselves. And what we just talked about, where it's like respecting people's timelines, I've had to learn that the hard way. So wherever people are, whatever they're doing, I just want to support. You know, I got my own things going on. I got like a lot of creativity to bring to the table. I got a lot of connecting pieces to bring to the table. I got a long list of other things to bring to the table, but I just want everybody to be where they need to be.
So one of the places that everybody needs to be is on Wednesdays at Cornerstone Drop-In Center, 2321 North Broad Street, for our community table. We're going to get it more themed oriented. Like, I think it'll work both ways, where we can introduce themes and we can let things happen organically, depending on. And we just want it to be growth for people to be able to collaborate,
right?
For people to be able to resolve issues and have think tanks and come up with ideas and network. We wanted to be all of those things and get a mill. You know what I mean? I don't really. The theme thing was a hard thing for me with that. And remember, it's Wednesdays from 6 to 8. It usually goes on longer than 8 o'clock, but we start at 6. So 2321 North Broad Street, Cornerstone Drop-In Center, community table every Wednesday. And this is a young lady who, she just came and was like, yo, how can I help? Like, I met her at another organization meeting on Wednesdays, Frontline Dad. And, she came in like, she was on a mission. So I needed to see what the mission was. That's how she been moving. It's like, you gotta, it's a funny thing. It's like, you gotta figure people, you're trying to figure people out at the same time. Because everything is tricky in this way where, one, we are dealing with a lot of different traumas.
Right.
So we don't know how much of an impediment is that going to be to us, linking up, collaborating, whatever we going to do, because we dealing with our traumas. You know what I mean? I've dealt with that with myself and with other people. The other thing, we looking at the opportunist. Who's the opportunist? Who's just trying to capitalize? Because everything in America you can make money off of, no matter how it looks. The branding is the psychological game to make you think that people who care about certain kids and certain, vulnerable groups are in business to make sure that they're good. But no, they say this is a way that we can make grant money. I'm smart enough. I got the credentials. All I need is the good numbers and get people to bring them in, recruit them. I done seen it.
Absolutely.
And I done heard it. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. But that's another thing that can be an impediment to, or what causes us to have to figure people out. Because you would think like, all right, we all come in this space. We trying to help. It's all love. We all going to ride the same.
That's not always the case. But I would say to that, like, we actually really got to trust ourselves more and use our God-given discernment. Like, whatever you believe in, science, whatever, we have the ability to know what is going on around us energetically, because we're energetic beings. Everybody got an auric field, energetic field around them, so you could be felt outside of your body.
Exactly.
You can't actually hide your intentions unless somebody is willing to lie to themselves about your intentions. Your first instinct about somebody is going to be right, unless you've been trained out of, and you've allowed yourself to be trained out of, trusting yourself. And it ain't nothing wrong with, understanding when you meet somebody where they at. That's not judgment, because you still open, you still gonna hold space, but you gotta really like pay attention to the signals that your body is giving you.
And the thing about that's so real and it's so honest about that is like, a lot of the people that I've had like fallout with in doing what I do, I seen it coming. I seen it coming. But the other part of it was, for me, it was like, we still out here doing the work. So I see what you're doing, but work can still get done, even though you operate how you operate.
Exactly.
And I know that I'm still going to keep growing my thing, whatever I'm doing, however, the people that I'm connecting, the people that see my energy and I see theirs. Because that's another thing about people that it's like we had separations. Is like, another thing for me, be like, I don't be so twisted about it or like down about it or so angry about it, because it's like, it was the time.
Yeah. That's it.
So it was that time, because I already seen it. I already felt it. I was hoping that you would be able to self-correct, or maybe I was like overplaying what I felt, and I was like, hold up, let me give it a minute. Let me let this all play out. I know what I feel, like you said, from the rip, but it's like, hopefully, let me make sure that I'm feeling what I'm feeling. I'm seeing what I'm seeing, so I'm going to give it time because of that. And then maybe you might self-correct. Because I've seen that too. I've seen people be one way, and as I move to a space with them or parallel to them, they self-correct. They get some information, or they do something, or they have an experience, and they be like, oh, they stop moving how they was moving initially. You know what I mean?
But I would say that the danger in that, like, we should hold space for people and wish the best and like hope for growth, but we can't expect it, because that's a personal choice. Right. And you can get a little bit fucked up if you don't listen to your instincts on it. Right.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You got to have a balance.
Exactly. And you have to monitor yourself, right? And say, okay, this person is who they are, right? I am who I am. What am I putting out, or what am I projecting that is bumping heads with what they are projecting? Like, because you everybody has their own values and beliefs, right? So I'm going to take everything you just said, right? And I'm going to internalize it. And I'm going to say, how am I moving that's causing this person to give me the energy that they giving? What energy am I putting out that's causing them to do that? Sometimes you check self first, right?
Right.
And then you say, okay, maybe I can do, because we all flexible. We're not just one way all the time. We're human. It's impossible, right? So you check yourself and say, mate, let me see what I'm doing. Let me see if I need to move a little different. Because sometimes when people are self-correcting, as you call it, they're making adjustments in how they need to communicate with you. Because we all don't. You have to. It's like raising kids, right? You can't be the same way with all of your children. They demand a different side of you, a different approach, a different way to parent. You know what I'm saying? Based on their personalities. So it's like being an adult. We working together. My personality is this way. Your personality is that way. And sometimes there's something in our values and beliefs that's going to cause us to bump heads, right? Does it mean the relationship will last forever? No, not necessarily. Sometimes people in your life for a reason and a season.
Yes.
You know,
I
make certain
truly believe in
connections,
that.
build off of that and move on.
Exactly.
Maybe it'll come back around again, right? But that energy thing is so real. It's so real.
But it's also so important, like you said, that we reflect on ourselves. I think a lot of the time we miss that, and it's so important. Reflection is the business of man. That's a quote. You know what I mean? People got to go back and listen to that Michael Jackson song where he's talking about being a man in the mirror.
Being a man in the mirror.
Ultimately, the work is in here, and everything out here is teaching you a lesson about in here. So at the same time, we can't take things too personal. When it comes to other people's movements, we got to have a certain amount of detachment and understanding and forgiveness, but we also got to take responsibility for what we're doing, and we got to be aware of what we're putting out there, and we got to do our best without judging ourselves and being too critical of what we find.
Because we do that
because
too.
We got to forgive ourselves.
That's
so
one
that
thing that's
move,
hard too.
So we
That's
can
one
grow.
thing that's hard too.
Because
it's very
we grow in the dirt.
Yeah.
Like we grow in the dirt. Anything beautiful is gonna grow in the dirt. So like you gotta wade through the shit in order to like blossom. And like that's just the process. So you can't hold it against yourself or anybody else.
And
you just gotta do your best. And your best look different every day.
It does. And that separating yourself from control, right? Because we have this thing where when you want things to go a certain kind of way, we want to control the way things are going. It's hard to do that when you are working with human beings. Even when you're working with a computer, it acts up. You can program it all day and it'll still act up on you. So it's like, eliminate yourself from that control thing, collaborate more, because the only thing that you really have control over is you.
Yes.
Right? That's the only thing you really have control.
This is your empire. This is what you rule.
Exactly.
Not
this
out
is
here.
All that out there is just space for growth, learning. I always say, I'm mastering me right now. And everybody know I'm mastering me right now. So I'm in a process of mastering me. I am a lifelong learner. I'm never going to be grown. I'm not grown. Because I have a whole lot of growing to still do, even in my big girl age.
But then we gotta always honor our inner child, because we forget to do that, and like what that really means. And it's really just like letting yourself enjoy the things that you enjoyed when you were a child. The pure things about yourself is holding space for the things that you didn't get when you were a child. Like if you didn't get affection, acknowledging that and addressing it and figuring out a strategy for you to like have that in your life regularly now. Like whatever it is, just like identifying like who you were as a child, because you still that person. This idea of being an adult is really like one of the biggest forms of societal control, because we all just souls in human bodies, and we don't stop growing unless we choose to stunt our own growth.
So I want to know this: are we getting any art today? Are we getting any art today? Can we
well,
get a
what kind
song
of art are we
today?
Can
We get some spoken word today?
It's funny you say that because I was gonna ask if I could maybe like share a couple poems.
Yes.
Oh, I love poems. I
you
love
can.
poems. Absolutely.
Right, and I could maybe do a song, but we're gonna see. We're gonna flow and see how it goes.
Okay.
Well, all our guests are always open to come back.
Okay.
I'm sure because
yeah.
we can have you back
You
to
can
share
come back.
more.
You can become a friend of the show.
Absolutely.
I would
Everybody
love
is
to.
friends.
We
of
got
the
some,
show.
but like the
conversation. I love
repeat
that
folks
energy.
they friends of the show, so you got to come back.
So
Absolutely.
I have a poem that I hopefully have memorized. Sometimes it changes up a little bit when I perform it.
That happens,
And it's called God in Me. It's a little short poem. So, apologies to anyone who missed the God in me. Apologies to anyone who saw the light but couldn't see. To anyone who got caught up in misunderstanding. I have always been contradictory, full of overflowing light and consumed by shadows. This battle has required more than a few losses, and quite frankly, I don't care what you see in the process. This tongue ain't got no filter on it. I'ma be open about all of it. Ooh, I forgot the last line, but it's I got the idea of what I'm talking about out, so I'm gonna just let that go.
Yeah, because I felt it. It sounded like there was the end of me. So if you had another line, I was like, okay.
I did, but it comes out when it needs to.
Okay.
And then I have another poem that I just wrote recently. A lot of my poetry, like, it just comes off the top of my head, like my song lyrics, and I don't think about it too much. It just, whatever comes out, comes out. Mm-hmm. So I was having a conversation with a sister of mine about, as a woman, like, I feel like we have a lot of duality to us, especially when it comes to our emotional experience. And so this is a little poem that I wrote in the past week, and it's called Duality. I'm somewhere in between two polarities, shy and outspoken, confident and uncomfortable, sensual and awkward, present for self and present for others. Both my main signs ruled by Saturn, but astrology don't break down all my patterns. I am often perceived as dominant, but that doesn't mean I won't submit. I have been often misinterpreted, even by those who know me. They sometimes only see what they want to see. I bring up insecurities, all the fears that are there lurking, but I can't help that. It's just something about my presence that be reflective. I'm too busy loving to just tell you about yourself. I'm here being honest, so I won't overlook that. As loving and patient as I am, I can also be the opposite. Spit fire near my feet and I might just breathe out all of it. I'm healing and growing, and some days I don't feel like I know none of it. But I trust self and Allah, and I'll figure out all of it.
Okay.
Nice.
I like that.
I like that.
Thank you.
I felt
So what do you feel like you lean towards? Like when I was in prison, all I could write was like love poems. And it wasn't about it was about that, and it wasn't like about a particular woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wrote poems to women, but I would write poems randomly, but they would be love poems. And I would try to write about stuff that I read, like, African culture or something about politics or just something entertaining. And I couldn't never write none of that. I tried, and it would be like, but everything but the stuff about any type of like love, like loving somebody, romantic love, it was easy. You know what I'm saying?
It's beautiful though.
That's because you're an Aquarius, bro.
Yeah,
oh, you an Aquarius?
Yes,
I'm
I
a
am.
Capricornus.
You're a Aquarius?
Yes.
Me too. I'm Aquarius.
Listen,
Oh,
people
yeah.
be trying to act like other signs. Y'all rep for y'all signs. I'm not gonna lie. Everybody rep for their sign. But it's something about this Aquarius thing that's a little different. I'm telling
We got
y'all.
some energy. I'm telling
Yeah,
y'all.
that
It's
energy
something
that's
about
there
I'm not
is-
saying if it's good, bad, because it depends on the
Oh,
person
come on
that.
now.
No,
it's
listen,
something.
we know what it
listen,
is.
It's
We
something
know what it is.
different. Because this is the thing. This is the thing about being Aquarius that I learned. It's like, as much as I love to help, I would love for you. I would love to just help everybody and they leave me the fuck alone.
Yep.
I would love that. I would love
That is
if I could
such a
just
good-
do
that is such a
anything
good
you ask. I
depiction
could
right
just,
there.
if you said come in and clean the kitchen, I'll come in, clean the kitchen, but don't be in the kitchen talking to me. Just go wherever you gonna do. This is free time. This is capitalize on the time that you ain't gonna have to do the kitchen and do something else. Do not.
It's gonna be a lot of love in that meal, but stay the fuck out of my kitchen while I'm in there.
And talk to me. I'm not saying that the people that I help that I don't want to talk to, because I do love good conversation. I'm interested in people's stories. But I don't know. It's something about me that'd be like, let me just give all I'm gonna give, and then leave me alone.
But to answer your question though, like I don't really have any genre. I don't confine myself to a genre. I like to tell people to tell me what they think when they hear a song, or when they hear some writing, or they see one of my paintings, because to me it's just all open expression. There's a local artist, his name is Hezekiah, and he's worked with a lot of really amazing artists like Kendrick Lamar, and the list is really long, but I met him a few months ago at an event, and he was saying something that really resonated with me, because it's how I've felt for a really long time. And I feel like art is a genuine expression of your heart. And so for me, every time I write, every time I express, every time I create something, it's an expression of my heart, and it's a true expression of my heart. And wherever I am in that moment, or wherever, whatever is sitting on my heart that needs to be expressed, is a true expression of that. And I actually, I was raised Muslim, and the only marking on my body that has to do with Islam is on my chest right here, and it says Al-Haq, which is one of the 99 names of Allah, and it literally translates to the truth. So that's something that I really live by. Everything that I create is true.
That's real.
However people interpret it, is however they needed to receive it for themselves.
Figure it out.
We're going to do more me and her talked about it. We want to do a lot more art infused stuff at the center. I do want it to be, like you said from the beginning, about the wellness, leaning towards wellness, because I feel like that'll make the space more comfortable. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I feel like it's two ways that it can go down for me.
Right.
It can be clean and real, like a clean. The only thing I can think of right now is like an office space that's really orderly, and you know what I'm saying. We can have a space like that where people are coming in and getting services like that, and it's clean and it's bright and it's people are professional and all that. But it's still don't. I feel like that's not a connection, but that's one of the only ways that I feel like it's done professionally.
Yeah,
right?
And that's for me, that's like a misconception.
Right.
Right? Because when you are opening up space for people, you have to give them a reason to want to open up. And these white walls, these neat desks, and these chairs pushed in is not the way to go. Put some color, put some relaxed chairs in there, colorful chairs, some area rugs, some, abstract art pieces, things that stimulate your mind.
And
let's not perpetuate all this whitewashing of culture. The whitewashing it literally limits our ability to think and breathe and
that's
create.
not the way to go.
No.
Office, that is not it.
So it's either that, or it's make it vibrant and comfortable and soft. But what I won't, the reason why these are the only two ways that I look at it, because what I won't do is, historically we go into places where people are being served, and it's always this sense of ran down. Like when you go into the welfare office, it got all the technology it's supposed to have. But it always looks ran down. It looks like a
whitewashed, dingy, and dirty.
That's my thing. That's what I want to stay far away from. When people talk about drop-in centers or they talk about shelters, you have this idea. A lot of it came from TV and seeing shelters on TV and the way they made them look in certain cities, and then you just think that's how it's supposed to be.
Because they're not ready to address you.
Right.
They want to give this product. They want to give this service. They don't want you coming in here and seeing things that's going to make you think, and that's going to trigger you to be, to come out and share stories. No, they want you to come in, fill out your paperwork, sign you up, boom, 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 send you out on your way. Come on, next person.
And honestly, the more that your trauma is triggered by the environment, the better, because then you more confined in that way of thinking.
That's therapy.
And talking about therapy and mental health, a lot of this professional look that we've been brainwashed with that came like from psychology. Like that came from them changing the mental health industry in the 1960s. Like a lot of these like white walls and that like weird like minty green, like that's not quite a minty green color, and the peaches and shit, they did that on purpose.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely, because it's not the traditional way of therapy in their mind. They want you to come in. You got 1 hour. All right, on to the next. It's saying we want to provide a service. We want to address some things.
It's overstressed.
So we don't
It's like
actually want to help you get
like-
to the
it's
root
a
cause
crazy-
of what is going
crazy.
on.
It's crazy because it's like everything else in a capitalist society. Like you just said, it's a package. We want you to come in, and you even said it earlier, a little bit earlier when you said a product versus a service.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? It's something, and that goes back to like the opportunist thing too. You're trying to sell a product of mental health because you know how to write the grant up. You got some certifications that say you are qualified to do this.
That's
so
the
you like,
product.
okay, this is a product that I can sell to donors, that I'm
Right.
selling to grant, right? Well, people who provide grants or whatever type of funding it is,
Right.
versus an actual like service. And that's the reason why I'm moving towards, and always have been, but I'm pulling more people in that lean toward wellness.
Right, because that's
You know what I'm
it's
saying?
whole health.
Whole health. The
Whole
holistic
health,
approach.
because the holistic approach is like the only way, right? Because like I said earlier, we're all not just one way. Like there's so much to us. There's so different. We have multiple personalities, whether people want to believe it or not. Right,
And we gotta honor those different aspects of ourselves and
Embrace
each other
them.
in order, because
embrace it.
unity isn't just about like we gotta organize out here and get all these people to do this, and no, it's not about like a specific plan. It's about unifying the different aspects of yourself so that you could show up and be present, like you were talking about, so that we could work together to create unity externally. And that unity externally really looks like holding space for others as they unify themselves, so that we
Exactly.
can have that solid foundation that we need to build.
So
Exactly.
before we get out of here, I wanna, cause you gotta come back and sing and all that. So
Right.
not
Yeah,
right
'cause
now,
I was
but
gonna
you gotta
sing
come
it
back
part.
and sing.
We missed
But
the
this was a
singing
dope
part.
conversation. We wanted to. It's cool because we get to see like who she is. Not, I know the art is a part of who you are, but it's like as a resource, this is what I do. Art plays into that, but who am I as a person? How do I think? That's why I like when you said, "Oh, I'm gonna get political." No, I want people to
Yeah,
understand
exactly.
what's going on. But tell us why you do what you do. It's not a whole lot of time, and I apologize for that.
Oh,
but
why I do what I do?
Yeah.
Well, because I feel like being who I am, being open and honest and expressive is my purpose. That's me being in alignment with source, with Allah, with creation. That's me doing exactly what I need to do for myself and others. And if I wasn't doing what I do, then I would be all the way out of alignment and probably contributing to the chaos in this world. And that just don't seem like something I want to be doing.
I like that. I like that. So this
Absolutely.
is Philly service announcement.
Philly service
PSA.
announcement.
Omni Assist. That's my right hand sister, Nick Queen.
Raw
Raw
Cannon.
Cannon. Love, support, grace, social activism, resource, and art. That's what we doing out here. Make sure
what
y'all
we
check
doing
out
here.
Black Diamond 24-hour tire shop. Google it. We on Google. Come through. Get your John. We out here. We gonna make sure that because the city banging y'all tires up. We around 24 hours to
Because
make
you know
sure
the
y'all
potholes
good.
is out here. It's crazy. One more
Oh.
thing before she go, really quick. Could you please tell them about the reading again? Because that was a resource that I took
Oh,
from
right.
you. The
So-
reading. Where's that
My
at?
fault,
And when?
too.
I take bookings pretty regularly for readings, but if you want to catch me for like an affordable price, you can come to Lightbox Cafe downtown. It's at 704 South 4th Street every Thursday between 4 and 8 p.m. and I do donation-based readings over there.
Oh, and I'm taking young folks in and around gun violence. If you in the mix, 16 to 24 years old, we doing those surveys, we doing those interviews. We want to know what the shooter think about gun violence. That's the only folks that we ain't talking to. The young folks that's actually in the mix of it. Why they doing what they doing? You know what I'm
Only
saying?
16?
We
Can't be
16 to
younger?
24.
Can't be younger.
Nah, it's gonna mess with the research. You know, I'm a
Okay.
researcher. I gotta
All right,
play
we
by the
controlling the
rules.
data. We
Yes,
controlling
yes,
the
we're
data.
controlling the data. We'll talk about that next week. I appreciate y'all. Good looking too.
All right, y'all. We out.
Swerve out. That music got me having fun. Niggas don't want me to call. Fuel on us got the blow off. Smoking stress, you ain't blow up. Now I'm
no stroller. We don't do no snitching. I stay away from the witness, that's why I don't talk to Jehovah. I'm out the bubble like powder and soda. I got a problem, don't know how to control it. Ran out of bullets, I gotta reload it. She looked at my chain, oh, she gotta be open. It gotta be rolled. Really came up in the trap, figured I'd get rich off this rap. Let a bad bitch roll a blunt in the front, and stick in the back. Lord said I'ma get it back. Now when I get it, I stash it. I go to Texas, they treat a nigga like a maverick. Go to the shot, they treat me like a bull. Still trying to eat, nigga, I was full.
They wanna see me go up.